Lewis Gordon, in his piece Existential Dynamics of Theorizing Black Invisibility, argues that anti-black racism not only results in the skewed perspective of race, it ultimately leads to the rejection of one's humanity. The body, as the author points out, is our perspective in the world. We see everything through the body. According to theorist Jean-Paul Sartre, there are three dimensions of perspective. These include the dimensions of seeing, being seen, and being conscious of being seen by others. Racism, it is argued, results in a distorted perspective. The concept of white superiority, the brown being named black, and the idea that to be black means to be tainted in the white man's eyes, causes African Americans to ultimately view themselves as being the problem. Because of this, they begin to attempt to reject the coextensitivity of the three dimensions of mind and body that define us as human beings. In doing so, they are said to become one of two things, a sadist or a masochist. The sadist is someone who rejects their body. They do not have the opportunity to enjoy their bodies because society views their body as a mistake. Consequently, they cannot raise the question of perspectivity. Visibility is said to extend out there, but never here. They eventually choose to live as though they are disembodied. The masochist, on the other hand, is someone who becomes just flesh. He denies he can see himself being seen. He no longer regards himself as responsible for who he is. He constitutes himself as helpless and controlled. Being black in an anti-black world ultimately confronts the African American with a problem, the absence of their presence, white absence. This phenomenon was described by theorists Sartre and Fanon as overdeterminism. They stated that the black body lives in an anti-black world as a form of absence of human presence. This leads to a skewed logic, ultimately resulting in the invisibility of the African American in many aspects. Eventually, overdeterminism leads to the transformation of consciousness in the flesh into a thing. The African American begins to be seen as such because of the invisibility of a black's perspective. As well as the invisibility of perspective, the African American's individual identity also ceases to exist. They are grouped together as a whole and are seen as one thing, black. Gordon says that human beings are living in bad faith, whether taking on the role of the sadist or masochist, because both are running from what it means to be human. He emphasizes that human beings are neither subject nor object alone. However, we aren't both either. We are ambiguous, ever flowing back and forth between subject and object. The author ultimately concludes that being a human being means being a fundamentally embodied consciousness. What makes us distinct from other species is the three dimensions of our mind and body. But anti-black racism leads to a skewed perspective, resulting in black invisibility and the rejection of one's humanity. He believes that people therefore should practice living in good faith by embracing the ambiguity of humanity. I believe that the author poses a strong argument in this piece. Throughout his work, he is continuously referencing the findings and opinions of many renowned theorists. These men provide strong evidence backing Gordon's claims about black invisibility and the rejection of one's own humanity. Throughout history, we can see that anti-black racism has caused African Americans to view themselves as the problem. As human beings, in most troubling situations, we tend to want to get rid of the problem, or what we see as being the problem. But when one sees himself as the problem, his initial instinct is to reject himself, in turn rejecting his own humanity and living in bad faith.